Hi everyone, it's Nicole, and I'm hoping to do a new little series on my channel here for a bit. I don't know how long it's going to last. It just depends how long it takes me to get this done. So I don't know about you, but I have a ton of stamps that, as you can tell, I went and I took a pair of rubber scissors and I cut them apart. So they haven't been used at all. So I am wanting to do a little series where the first part here, we're going to stamp a whole bunch of stamps. And it's like a little container. In another video, I'll show you. It was actually when I bought a hair straightener, the box that I had from it, I kept that and it's just the perfect box. Oh, actually, you can see it off to the side here, off to the right. And I have all my stamps from CC Designs, and I have Lacy Sunshine, and I have Saturated Canary. Anyway, a bunch of different ones that I have never used. So what I did was I grabbed some Stampin' Up! Cardstock at this point, and I did grab my India ink, which it's not the best, but I couldn't find my Memento ink at the time. I was like, I don't know where it is. Of course, it was with my stuff downstairs because with my planner and everything. So for this first part, I use my India ink, which sometimes it can bleed with the alcohol ink. I did a few tests and I actually colored a few images up to now and it didn't bleed at all, but it can bleed. The Memento ink is definitely the better ink. I did find it, and it took me, I would say, 3 different sessions to go through that one box to cut out all these stamps. And then, of course, these ones here don't have a plastic to stick it on. So what I did was I went into my stash and I found some acetate. I cut it down to size. I haven't done that at this point, but I'm going to. I'm like, okay, these are just kind of loose in the packages. I kind of don't like that. So what I did was, see, I'm testing here. I'm like, will this leak? Will this smudge not leak smudge? And so at one point, I'm like, I don't like that they're just kind of sitting like that in the package. So I'm going to go get the acetate. I'm going to glue them down or cut them apart. And then those, once you take that backing that I just took off, that will stick on some acetate and then it'll just protect my stamp a little bit more. Now, another thing I could have done to make this go a little faster, I'm showing you, I found my Memento ink. So now I'm going to be using, not right now, but this is, I thought about that ink and then I did find it later on that day. Now, one thing I could have done to make this go a little faster is I could have just stamped, like taken 4 out and done 4 different stamp images on one sheet, right? But I'll tell you a little secret. I'm not very good at all at coloring, like at all. So I need all the practice I can get. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stamp as many images as I can stamp. What I do is I take an 8.5 by 11, I cut it right in half at 5.5, and then it gives me 2 pieces of paper. And another thing I'm doing is I'm writing the name of the company and the name of the stamp set, because if you see a lot of those packages, they have an example of the colors that you can use. Actually, this one right here doesn't. The coffee girl, it doesn't, and I don't like it. But that's okay. Most of them do. So when I get to this card, I can go get that stamp, and if it has colors, to give me ideas, then I'm going to do that. Now, I have both Copics. I think I counted them today. I have 226 Copics And I also bought in 2021, I haven't used them yet. Well, I have used them now, but some Ohuhu markers, and they're alcohol markers, and there's a brush tip, and I bought a package of 120. And so I'm gonna do some comparison, I'm gonna color some with my Copic markers, and I'm gonna color with my those other markers. And then, because they are quite a bit cheaper, I think to get the whole collection, which is I think about 200 markers, 300 markers, it's like $300. So they're fairly cheap. I didn't get the whole collection, and I think that's what I'm finding. I'm finding that there's not enough of the variance of colors. Like I'm finding it hard to find the hues, the different values of colors, but I'm making it work. I do love my Copic markers. It's just that Copic markers are so expensive. So I was looking to see if maybe I could get, some different colors with a different brand of markers, because Copic markers are $10 a piece. And someone was telling me that the quality is not what they used to be. So I don't know. I've had mine for probably, I don't know, over 10 years, probably 12, 13 years. And they are not dry. Like I colored with them again today, and, I haven't found any that are dried. Now, I don't know if I'll go through the trouble of getting, um, refills, or if I'll just get a new marker when a marker gets dry, or because then I'll have to get nibs and I'll have to get the refills. And I don't color enough with them, not yet anyway, to kind of make it worth that. Now, those CC design stamp sets, they are so cute. And I've used a few of them in the past, and I love to make a layout, and I use one of those as an embellishment. Now, I have to say, I know if I'm working on a page, there is no way I'm going to go get that stamp set. I'm going to stamp it. I'm going to spend an hour coloring that little, doll or whatever, and then make my page. That's why I think it's important for me to do them whenever I feel like doing something in my craft room, but I don't feel like scrapbooking, or I just feel like, oh, while I'm listening to an audiobook, instead of just listening to an audiobook, I can be doing this. And I can tell you where my scrap room is starting to feel really, organized. I am wanting to be in there more and more. So I'm don't mind going in there and doing stuff like this. I firmly believe, because I'm in my scrap room and I'm organizing stuff and I'm seeing all these things, I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't used these stamps. I need to use those. Not that I've organized that area yet, but I was putting something on that shelf and I was like, oh, I haven't used these stamp sets in so long. So I grabbed that box and I went through them. Now, another day I have another little box of, again, little dolls like this, and I'm going to stamp those. And I really like putting the name of the stamp set. And I'm not going to talk too much about how I'm going to go through this, because that's an upcoming video. And I'm really excited to get going on that, because it's going to feel really, like a fun project to do. And then I'm going to have all these, little girlies that are all done up, and little boys, but that are already, some of them are Christmassy and some of them are like birthday and summer. So all kinds of different ones. And then I'll, be able to put them on my scrapbook layouts. Another thing that this made me realize is I have a big MISTI for scrapbook layouts, and I was like, do I really need this MISTI? Because I don't do cards. Like, I really don't do cards, but doing this, I'm like, aha, I do need my MISTI, because this made it so much easier because you're going to see here in a couple minutes, we're going to move to a different stamps company. And when I move to those, I'm going to notice they don't stamp as well because they have no like foam behind them. So it makes it really a little harder to stamp. So because this with the Misty, the stamp doesn't move, I can re-ink it and stamp it again and it doesn't move. I wasn't really paying attention with these, and afterwards I was like, oh, those didn't stamp well because the ones previous to that stamped really well. So that's the reason I wasn't really looking for it. So these stamps here are from Saturated Canary, and they're super cute. But a couple things, they have no stickiness to them. So I'm going to show you in a few minutes what I did to fix that, so that they would become sticky, because there's no stickiness. So I have some Tack It Over and Over glue from Aleene's, and so I cut the stamp set like I do with the other one. I have a paintbrush and I put a thin coat of that Tack It Over and Over glue, and then I just let it dry overnight. And then it's going to stick to my Misty. Now I have to tell you, I don't think it stays forever. Like I did a couple, and just ripping it off, that there was a few places that the glue was already coming up. But the good thing with that is, once if I find it's not sticking anymore, this bottle is going to last me forever. So I just need to put another thin coat and let it dry, and then it'll be ready to go. So I had probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 of those stamp sets. So what I end up doing, because some of them, I don't know if they were cheaper if you just got the rubber, because some of them do have the foam, and they're like kind of, that material where it sticks on to the board, the Misty. So they might have been cheaper, and I was like, oh, I'll just, put Aleene's Tack It Over and Over glue on it. So if you're saving $10, it's totally worth it, right? So what I did was the night before, uh, I was done for the day. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do these guys, and I'm just going to add the glue, and then they'll be ready for in the morning. Now, another thing that I wanted to do before I start coloring all those wonderful little creations is I don't have a color chart for my Ohuhu markers. Now, I have 2 types of paper. Remember, I had Stampin' Up! And I had Nina's Paper White. Now, I didn't know if the marker was going to show up different on the Stampin' Up! Paper or the Nina cardstock. So on camera here, I'm going to do both cardstock for a while, and then eventually I'll just do the one cardstock. But at first, it really looked like some colors did look different. And I think there's still a couple that, a few that look different from one to the other. But since I printed them off, it took me about an hour to get those 2 done, all the colors. And I wanted it done because I started coloring one of the, little paper dolls or whatever, the stamped image. And I really had a hard time with just the cover, like just the tip to look at to say, oh, these 3 would look good together. Now, I have to say that the numbering for the Ohuhu is a little different. Like one of them is like Y11, and it looks more like a brown than a yellow, and Y12, it looks like a brown, and then Y15 looks like an orange. Like, so, but this chart really helps. I just found it online at artisfun.com. So you can go there and you can download, the chart, and then you can just color it in. And I actually found that quite relaxing. I, again, just put an audiobook on, and I just colored that chart. And I was actually thinking, because my Copic chart, I colored that in like years ago. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an 8.5 by 11 page protector, and I'm going to put those in it. And then, those two together, like the Nina one and the Stampin' Up one. And then I can just put it with my stamp images, and then it won't get dirty. Now I've sped this up at 20 times the speed because, it's been going for a while, so we're going to wrap this up here. But another thing that I would mention is don't open your cap above the page, because I end up with a bunch of little dots from the ink flying off the flying off the marker. And I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just a little colorful, but I am definitely going to put those into some page protectors. I'm going to find another one for my Copic markers, because like I said, I didn't do that. I didn't put it in an 8.5 by 11 page protector, and my Copic sheet is like totally messed up. Plus, the colors have really started to, I don't know, I don't want to say fade, but almost. Maybe because it was in sunlight, I don't know, but I feel I had fun doing this, so I'm just going to take my Copic markers. I'm going to put them in front of me, and I'm going to put an audiobook on, and I'm just going to color them in. Now the next video, what I'm going to show you is I'm actually going to go through all the stamped images and show you the stamp set, who it's from and the stamped image. And then the video after that, or the videos after that, will take probably one little girl, one stamped image, and we'll color them in Copic and then in the Ohuhu markers and compare them. And at some point, I think I would like to maybe even do in pencil, in the pencil. And then I'm going to show you how I'm going to keep track of the colors that I use for the girls. Obviously, if you want to change the color of the dress, then you'd have to come up with new colors. But I just want to be able to, track some of them. And then, maybe even if I stamp that girl again, I want to have a system where I can put her somewhere, and then I can put exactly which colors I use to do that little girl. And then, some other time, if I want to do that one again, then I'll know exactly which markers I use. So that's it. That's going to be the end of this video. So if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit subscribe. If you're enjoying these videos, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, leave me a comment down below. And I want to thank you so much for watching. And I can't wait to get stamping. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye.